Off-stage, Wynonna kept playing a different role. She was Kalia Kelly's grandmother and guardian after Grace got involved in getting into trouble with the law and going to a rehab center in 2022. Wynonna took care of her niece on her own. She often posted pictures of their life together on social media, like cooking, farming, and taking care of horses while playing with Kalia on the farm. "Kalia saved me from a terrible year," she said one time. "Every morning, that little girl makes me want to get up." Getting into 2024, Wynonna started working with non-profit businesses to promote mental fitness consciousness, even though she had now not hooked up her very own foundation. Wynonna funded several national media campaigns, encouraging center elderly women to speak approximately despair and warning signs at a rustic track affiliation seminar held in Nashville. She stated, "I'm not a health practitioner, I am only a daughter who tried to prevent her mom from dying. I could not, now I will do something I will to prevent it from going on to a person else." In June 2025, Wynonna released a brand new tour titled The Finest Hits Tour with scheduled dates in 20 towns throughout the US and Canada. Considerably, she joined Little Huge Metropolis's summer season excursion as a unique guest, marking a collaboration between generations of U.S. artists. The brand new shows featured no longer handiest traditional songs from the Judds, but additionally standout tracks from Wynonna's solo catalog, such as Nobody Else in the World, I Noticed the Light, and To Be Loved by You. She shared, "I no longer sing for myself, I sing for my mom, I sing for those standing at the edge now, not in a position to talk." The media has located that Wynonna isn't merely preserving the Judds' legacy, she is increasing it in a new route. Billboard known as her a mother or father of subculture and a pioneer of emotional truth. Rolling Stone noted, "Wynonna turns grief into artwork and makes it breathe through honesty. The verbal exchange is now not about while she will forestall appearing, but how far she intends to head." Although there may be no authentic information of a long time period reunion between Wynonna and Ashley Judd, the two have seemed collectively at diverse community events. They seldom talk publicly approximately their mother, but when they do, they reference her as a steady presence in the whole lot they do, and possibly that is the remaining definition of legacy, something that keeps to live on even if the one who left it is gone. Wynonna Judd has survived a seismic emotional blow via tune sincerity and the courage to sooner or later say what turned into once left unsaid. If her story makes you believe you studied of a person you adore, name them. Don't wait till every phrase turns into two past due, and in case you trust emotional power can alternate a existence. Share this video so that others may be reminded the manner you simply have been. Consider to love, subscribe and depart a comment. Your story is probably the light a person else wishes. What? No one thought that day would be the end of a tale, the last part of a terrible day. Wynonna Judd died on April 30, 2022, at the age of 76. She was a big deal in the American country music world because she and her sister Wynonna Judd were about to be admitted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. That evening, her daughters Wynonna and Ashley told the Associated Press that the story was true. "Mental illness took our beautiful mother away from us. We are broken. We are going through a lot of sadness." It was afterward. It was made clear that Wynonna had killed herself with a gun at her home in Franklin, Tennessee. Lawrence Strickland, her husband, was the one who found her. Wynonna had been very depressed for a long time. When she did go out in public after 2017, she usually avoided talking to the press, turned down interviews, and said no to any long-term reunion shows. She once said that the illness had gone into remission thanks to better treatment methods after she retired in 1991 because of hepatitis C. Still being interviewed in the 2000s. Wynonna said she was still dealing with bipolar illness, panic attacks, and clinical depression. Wynonna said it was like waking up every day and having to fight not to hurt herself. The side effects of her medicine made her mental health even worse. Ashley says that Wynonna had obvious symptoms like facial swelling, hair loss, and hand tremors that made her avoid public appearances because she felt bad about her body, even though she was getting regular medical care and her family was taking care of her. In the early months of 2022, the mental state got out of hand. Wynonna died while getting ready for the event at the Country Music Hall of Fame where she and Wynonna were to be officially inducted. Wynonna decided to go to the event even though the tragedy happened less than 24 hours before it. She walked onto the stage with Ashley and accepted the Medal of Honor for their mother. She was very upset and said, "My heart is broken, but I will keep singing because that's what my mother would want." It was the first time people saw a Wynonna who was strong while holding back a lot of pain. Her words were picked up right away and shared by all of the big American news outlets. An immediate reaction came from the art world. "Naomi was one of the bravest and most honest women I've ever known," wrote Reba McEntire. "Whenever I feel weak, I often think about how Naomi stayed strong through all those hard years," said Martina McBride. A lot of younger artists said that the Judd had an effect on how they listened to current country music and thought about the connection between family and art. The Judd family also chose to make the facts of Naomi's death public, which is unusual in the entertainment industry. They did this to help break down the stigma around depression and suicide. After the funeral, Wynonna didn't say a word to the media for almost 2 months. Then, out of the silence, came a voice that wasn't sad but finally spoke the hidden truth about the mother she had lost. Revelations that caused a stir when Judd made them in a September 2022 interview with CBS News. "I thought I was going to die too. I wasn't sure if I could keep going." It was the first time Wynonna talked about Naomi's death in public since she was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. During the almost 45-minute talk, she didn't try to hide how angry or confused she was. "I wasn't mad at my mom, but at everything that was going on. I did everything I could to keep her here, but I failed." She also said she didn't understand why her mom left at that time. When they seemed closer than ever after fighting for years. Wynonna went through a long mental crisis after Naomi died. She had trouble sleeping all the time, erratic eating, big changes in weight, and mood swings between sadness and empty. "I feel like I screamed at the top of my lungs but no one heard me in the middle of the night," she wrote on Instagram. "I thought I was better than this." She also said that she started going to therapy regularly and using both medicine and psychological help to deal with her feelings. Not only did the quick death of her mother hurt her, but so did the things that were never said. When Nana told her that the last time they had talked, her mother had told her, "I love you." Not knowing it would be the last time, she wrote several letters to her mother after Naomi died and put them near an altar as a way to talk to her. "I wrote down the things I never dared to say. I blamed her. I cried. Then I apologized. But I also told her I understood and that I forgive her." In talks from late 2022 to early 2023, Wynonna said over and over that it was hard for her to forgive. "I'm not a wise person. I was mad, but I knew that if I let that anger stay with me, I wouldn't be able to act again. To be able to breathe again, I had to choose to forgive. It was a choice that meant life or death for her job and her own person." Wynonna didn't rush back into the news, even though she wasn't quiet anymore. She chose to tell her story. Through personal sites like vlogs, Instagram, and one-on-one meetings with fans. "I don't want to tell my mom's story as a tragedy. I want to tell it as a warning and as a tribute," she said in a video meeting in early 2024. She also started giving money to groups that raise understanding about mental health, especially in older adults. Even though there hasn't been an official announcement of a dedicated foundation, Wynonna has said many times that she wants to start a public effort to get families to talk about mental illness instead of keeping it secret. "We can't keep quiet any longer. Silence is what killed my mother," she said on a Sirius XM show. Nana's mental state changed over time, but one thing that was clear was that she went from being sad to taking action. She went from being someone who had collapsed to someone who was stepping into the light, both as a singer returning to the stage and as a daughter determined to keep her mother's memory alive. From those quiet efforts, a new chapter began in which Wynonna not only continues to sing but also keeps everything Naomi left behind safe. From their music to the lessons they didn't say that continued a rough new chapter. Wynonna Judd not only came back into the public eye but also started a series of events on a scale she hadn't done since she started her single career. Every choice she made now wasn't about herself, but about keeping her word to Naomi to carry on the Judds' last tour as a way to honor her mother. Wynonna made it clear that she would not cancel the tour. Instead, she added more guests and changed it into a tribute tour. The tour went on through Between now and the end of 2023, with more than 25 shows in main U.S. places, she asked many well-known female country singers, like Brandi Carlile and Faith Hill, to perform with her. Alessia Cara and Little Big Town. Every show was meant to be a celebration and a way to remember Judd. It included behind-the-scenes video, old videos, and performances of famous Judd songs like Mama He's Crazy Why Not Me and Love Can Build a Bridge. The most important event was Love Is Alive, the last concert taped at Murphy Center in Tennessee. This is the same place where the Judds played their last show before Naomi quit in 1991. This show played on CMT and was later released on Paramount Plus as a documentary called Between Hell and Hallelujah, which has been seen by millions of people. The show brought in more than $20 million, proving that Wynonna was still one of the best-selling traditional country music artists. She's not here anymore. So what now? Do I just go home and fall apart? Those were the haunting words of Wynonna Judd, words that marked the end of silence, and the beginning of something raw, honest, and heartbreaking. Naomi Judd wasn't just a country music legend. She was a fighter, a mother, a symbol of resilience, and behind the curtain, a woman carrying pain deeper than anyone could imagine. When she died suddenly in 2022, the world mourned. But Wynonna? She said nothing. Not then. Not until now. More than 2 years later, Wynonna has finally opened up. And what she shares isn't just grief. It's the truth about love, guilt, unanswered questions, and the struggle to forgive someone you've lost, and can never confront again. She was strong, Wynonna says. So strong. And yet, she was done. She was in too much pain. This is not just a story of loss, it's the story of a daughter trying to hold on to a legacy while letting go of a mother she never fully understood. Naomi Judd was no stranger to hardship. Raised in a working-class family, her father ran a gas station while her mother cooked on an Ohio riverboat. Life was simple, but not easy, and it took a tragic turn in 1965 when her younger brother, Brian, died of leukemia at just 17. That loss left a scar on Naomi's heart and shaped her lifelong battle with emotional pain. By the time she was just 17, Naomi's life had already taken another dramatic turn, an unplanned pregnancy by her boyfriend Charles Jordan, who abandoned her shortly after. On May 30, 1964, just 2 weeks before graduating high school, she gave birth to her first daughter, Christina Claire Simonella. Wanting her child to have a name and a father, Naomi married Michael Simonella, giving her daughter his surname, though the world would one day know her as Wynonna Judd. The marriage didn't last. Naomi divorced in 1972 and found herself raising 2 daughters, Wynonna and Ashley, completely on her own. She was strong. She was determined. But emotionally, she was breaking. Behind closed doors, Naomi was waging a quiet war with treatment-resistant depression and crippling anxiety, a battle she kept hidden even as she smiled for the cameras. She had so much to give, but she didn't always know how. Desperate for a fresh start, Naomi packed up her daughters and moved to California. But life didn't get easier, in fact, it got harder. At one point, they were so broke they lived in a car. Naomi took whatever job she could find, store clerk, hospital receptionist, anything to put food on the table. Eventually, she returned to Kentucky and enrolled in nursing school, determined to give her daughters something more. "I've always been very determined," Naomi once said. Fired, forgotten, single mother, I never gave up. Nursing gave her stability, but not fulfillment. Deep down, something still called to her, music. It had always been there, in the background. Gospel hymns. Loretta Lynn. Tammy Wynette. Vinyl records spinning stories of pain and hope. It stirred something in her. In the late 1970s, Naomi began to teach herself guitar and write songs at home. It was more than a hobby, it was a lifeline. By 1979, with her daughter Wynonna just 15 years old, Naomi took a leap of faith. She packed their bags again, this time headed for Tennessee, chasing a dream that still refused to die. They rented a small house close to Nashville and used a cassette player to make simple demo tapes. No one thought they would go from such a small start to become one of the biggest music groups of the 1980s. When Naomi was in Nashville, she almost begged record labels to take her test tapes. A recording with Wynonna singing and Naomi playing guitar got into the hands of an A&R official at RCA Records. They were asked to try out, and in 1983, they were quickly signed. That was the moment when they went from being an unknown single-parent family to a name that shook the whole music business. Wynonna took on that heritage, which was built with hard work, tears, and determination, not only in their music but also in how they hit the big stage together for the first time as the Judds. The trip to look for the Judds released their first record, Why Not Me, in April 1984. It became a huge hit in the country music world very quickly. The lead song got better to #1 on the Billboard Country chart. The next year, they won the Grammy Award for Best Country Song by a Duo or Group. The Judds had 14 #1 songs between 1984 and 1991. Mother was one of them. He's Crazy, Girls' Night Out, Love is Alive, Grandpa Love Can Build a Bridge and Tell Me About the Good Old Days. They had a unique style that was different from other groups of the time because it mixed Appalachian folk, traditional country, and raw two-part harmonies. The Judds sold more than 20 million records in less than 10 years. 5 Grammys, 9 Country Music Association Awards, and 7 Academy of Country Music Awards were given to records around the world. They were the first female duo to have such a big effect on country music, both as artists and as a family picture. Naomi was more than just a singer. She planned their tours, created their public image, and turned the Judd brand into a sign of strong Southern women. As their lives took off, Naomi and Wynonna started to fight. When Wynonna turned 18, she started looking for her own style in music. Naomi continued to be in charge, overseeing all public appearances and artistic direction. Several behind-the-scenes stories say that the mother and daughter often fought over wardrobe choices, song arrangements, and how the media would react. In an interview in 1995, Naomi said, "Sometimes Nana and I are very different. I was too hard on her because I was a single mom, and I thought control was safety, which was wrong. It didn't matter how hard things were for the Judds, they kept topping the charts, winning big awards, and going on national TV. Seen on The Tonight Show, The Oprah Winfrey Show, and at big national events. Their story of how they went from being poor to being the most famous artists in the world became a culture icon. It was written in Billboard that, the Judds are not just music, they are the American story." Naomi Judd retired from performing in October 1990 after being identified with hepatitis C, which was a dangerous disease at the time. In December 1991, the Judds' last show was in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. It was the Naomi and Wynonna's first time on stage together, with no plans to meet again. Naomi shed tears as she sang the last line of "Love Can Build a Bridge" to the crowd. Naomi's exit not only ended a musical era, but it also changed Wynonna's life. Wynonna's solo career began with the album Why Nana in 1992. It was the start of a journey of freedom that would last for over 30 years. Naomi kept working as a consultant in the background, showing up at important events and going on special trips with her daughter in 1999 and 2000. 2010 Their relationship kept going through many ups and downs, with long periods of stress and short periods of peace. Nicole wrote in her autobiography, "Sometimes I think we are two parts of one soul born into two different bodies, we had no choice but to collide." Although they didn't always get along, the mother-daughter bond was what kept the Judds brand alive in the hearts of fans. After 30 years of ups and downs, the mother and daughter decided to make one last trip to end everything with a historic farewell.